You're listening or watching the 904wed.com Real Wedding Podcast with my favorite two co-hosts, Ann LaFiles and Amber Flowers, right there on the top and bottom of your screen. How are you guys doing today? I hope you had a great 4th of July. We have a lot to cover today. First off, how did you celebrate the 4th, Ann?
Well, I was actually celebrating the 4th with Amber.
Oh, you got invited to the engagement party of engagement parties.
Yeah, I did. I definitely didn't want to miss it. So we got to spend a couple hours with Amber and Chris celebrating on the river in Jacksonville.
We are going to hear all about that today. Amber, we know how you celebrated the 4th. You have been telling us about this since day one of the podcast. We are on our 6th episode already. I can't believe it. We have so much to talk about this engagement party of yours that fell right on the 4th. You got fireworks that you didn't have to pay for and a beautiful venue. First off, where did you celebrate this?
It's on the south bank of downtown Jacksonville. We celebrated it's venue 841. So formerly known, I think it was Etna at one point, then the One Call, and now it's venue 841.
And how did you pick venue 841? There's some inside connection. Was it referred to you? What's the secret with this place?
It's family. Exclusive Caterers is Anthony's Catering, which we will be using at the wedding as well. And then we've been the venue, I think now, for about 7 years. It's a hidden gem. I know Ann's been there. We've done a few photo shoots, or a photo shoot. Was it last year? Yeah, for Premier Bride. But I think it was last year. It's just a beautiful location on the river. It has, insane fireworks show. It feels like the fireworks are jumping out at you. It's so close. And some of the greatest sunsets, indoor, outdoor. It's a gem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, part of this podcast is highlighting some of these venues and vendors that you've been using. So we're including links in the podcast so you can go find out more about them, see some great pictures, see some photos when they come back, right, from your own engagement party. But why have an engagement party there versus in the backyard, wherever? Was it strictly for the fireworks or I know the family connection? Why should brides and go to a place like this and get out of the house maybe for an engagement party?
Well, it's fun. And plus, engagement parties can be a lot of people. So sometimes, if you're having a large engagement party, you do need to find a venue because houses just can't hold it. But engagement parties, bridal showers, any type of celebration that goes along with the wedding is a fun event. And so sometimes couples are opting to go all out and have a larger, engagement party than just the backyard barbecue.
Now, Amber, did you plan this entire thing by yourself? Did you have help? You're a little too smiley right now that you're not stressing out enough, right? So you must have had a little help with this.
Yes, and I had some help. We did want backyard barbecue style, so we did have the food, but barbecue style food. Oh gosh, I had some check marks of what I wanted, and my maid of honor and mom made it what the little details, we had no idea. The photographer and we had no idea all of this really came together. Like when we walked through those doors, I had tears in my eyes. It was a big shock factor. So I had my hands in a little bit of it, but nowhere near what I was presented with.
Now, for those of us not connected to the wedding world or who haven't gone to an engagement party, I'm not picturing engagement parties with photographers, DJs, fireworks, catering. And is this normal? Where does Amber stand? And if you're a bride listening to this, are you like, ooh, I got to step up my game? Or is this out of the ordinary? What's reality?
There is no normal these days. So people do a wide variety of things. You can't say that people aren't having large engagement parties because people certainly have large engagement parties. Is it completely 100% the norm? No, but you also have to realize that I think Amber's in a special situation because her mom and family have been in the wedding business, and they do have an amazing venue, amazing catering service. So, and they know a lot of people in the industry too, so it just makes it a little bit easier sometimes in that situation. But we see brides and grooms going all out, and it might not be all of it, but having a photographer, totally normal. Having a DJ, having entertainment, that is normal too, because they definitely, if they're throwing a big party, they want to entertain their guests. And, what better way to do that than, with a photographer? People want to capture it all too. So.
Well, let's talk about this. The photographer. First off, who did you use? Let's give him a little credit.
Richard Fleming, which was a surprise. Had no idea. So Richard Fleming was phenomenal in Jacksonville. He was there and he brought a drone and videographers. So I have to give a shout to Richard Fleming because that was just a huge surprise.
Richard is a great photographer. He has all the toys. I love working weddings with him. When I get to DJ a wedding with him, it's always fun. So that was a surprise. How did that come about? Who decided that you needed to have him there? And is he just doing the engagement, or are there other things that he'll be doing as well that you do or maybe don't even know about right now?
I don't really know about. I really want him to do other things, but I have not gotten that far yet. So how I found out about Richard, we walked through the doors of the building, which is typically used for the reception area if you were to do your wedding there. So when you walk through the doors to the river is where all of our guests were. So Richard was at the front saying, hi, we're going to take pictures of you. And I was like, Richard, what are you doing here? And so that's how my mom is the one who did set that up.
Gotcha. So you weren't going to plan to have a photographer there yourself, or did you assign that task out to someone and you just didn't know who it was going to be?
I would, it happened with our engagement. The cell phones were for
Right.
us, so we really didn't have that planned, a photographer at all.
Smart move.
My mom. Yeah.
Your mom knew what she was doing there. Having professional photographers around, even if it's maybe a surprising engagement. We see this from time to time, right, Ann? Photographers who will stake out and hide for the engagement, the big ask, and you don't even know there's pictures being taken until
Absolutely.
It's already been done.
And that's another really popular thing, too, that couples do. A lot of times the groom will set up to have a photographer there when he pops the question. And, I've actually been on a couple of these myself, and I've actually helped some of my friends set these up. Gotten a photographer where we are staked out. We have radios going. We're looking at cell phones, waiting for the text message from the groom to give the cue that, it's going to happen. So that's totally normal for the proposals.
Right. So back to the engagement though. He's busting out videos. He's doing drone photography, drone videography. So you haven't seen any of this yet, I'm assuming, Amber. It's still a little too fresh.
And what's really cool about that is that right when we walk through the door to take the photos, I automatically set our phones down, and I had a hat with me, and I set that down when we walk out. So I have 2 pictures on my phone that I took on the way to venue 841. So I don't even have any photos. So I can't wait. Of course, we're tagged in a lot of them, but I can't wait. I'm waiting to even post about it to see the suspense of the video and everything. It was legit.
I'm dying to see these too. So will there be a reveal here, or are you just going to do this kind of naturally when they come out, or is there some special event you're waiting for to share these photos and videos with everyone?
I think that I will just keep it up on the social media and sharing and say, are you guys ready? And do it that way. Make it like that. I don't see there's going to be a big event dun dun dun. And the Marlettes to be here we go. No, I don't think so.
I've got to ask: is there an official hashtag yet for the wedding? Have you joined that movement?
Oh yes. That was probably the first thing I picked out. His last name is Marlatt. My name is Amber Flowers. So how fitting is Marlatt AF?
I love it. We all know what that really stands for.
Oh yes.
Amber Flowers.
Right. All right.
Explain it to my husband. He would know.
Of course. Mark doesn't get. He's not hip like that.
Oh.
So all right. So you got out there. You had the photographer there taking professional pictures, so they're all going to be good. You're going to look great. You're going to be in focus. You don't have to worry about anyone doing any amateur work there. You also had a DJ at your engagement party. That is so great. I love hearing this. Let's talk DJ, because that I can talk all day. Who did you have? How did it go down?
Well, Jonathan with Feedback Entertainment. I had no clue, again, that he was going to be there. I said just plug an iPod in or something, or is that the music list? I just said iPod. Is that still a thing?
It's still a
plug
thing.
it in, or shuffle it, it's fine. And we walked, I was like, holy cow. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. So it was really good to see, like, when you do events, to see those familiar faces again. Because let's face it, like recently we haven't been able to be in touch. So it was a good thing to see him. So I love Jonathan. He's excellent.
And how did that go down for everyone? Did there end up being some dancing out there, socially distant outside? You can dance like that. You can't dance inside right now, but
No,
outside.
you can't. And you know what? The weather was iffy, but I was watching it because we were like, oh, we're going to move everything inside. And we were like, we can't because of how many people and the social distancing. So we did dance. We got some dancing in. Now, some people were on the lawn dancing by the river. Some were up front at the pizza station eating pizza, dancing. So it was a success.
Hold up. We're going to come back to the DJ in a minute. Did you just say, I heard you say barbecue. Now you're telling me there's pizza? This is the ultimate menu.
Yeah.
How did the pizza station go down? I want to hear from Ann. We're going to hear from Ann on this one. Ann, tell me about this pizza station.
Oh, well, the food was excellent as normal. They had buffets, they had little different stations that you could go to, and they had the pizza station. So I didn't see the pizza boxes, so I'm not exactly sure where the pizza came from. But they had all these different styles of pizza out on the buffet table, and you could pick up a slice.
All right, Amber, what's the secret? Were the pizzas ordered? Were they made by Anthony's? What's the story with the pizzas?
Oh, I wish I could know. Actually, it's a funny little detail in our relationship that Chris and I had a date early on, and we went and ordered this pizza from 5-Star, and we brought it out to the park and we ate pizza. Well, then fast forward, I'm moving from Jacksonville to Orlando, and when we were sitting there packing, we ordered the 5-Star pizza. So it's just something with us. It's my favorite fast food style pizza, delivery pizza, and it has a little meaning to it. So we had different types of the 5-Star and different layers at the pizza bar.
You've done a really good job.
Pizza is really good. It is really good. However, this was something that was special in our relationship, that we've been down dates, like I said.
I love hearing how you continue every single week we talk, incorporate these little things in there. And I'm assuming every bride out there does this, but if you don't, take a lesson. This is some amazing stuff going on. Pizza and barbecue going on at the same place with fireworks. You can't get any more American, any more 4th of July than that. But let's circle back to the DJ, because you were talking one thing that I always want to bring up. And it's not just because I happen to do a little DJ. It's this whole iPod playlist, as you like to call it. We'll just call them a playlist bride, playlist event. It doesn't have to be a wedding. It can be a backyard party, a bridal shower, engagement party, you name it. But doing the playlist versus having the live DJ, compare the two for us right now. For anyone that's kind of on the fence, like, should I save that money and just bring my own little Bluetooth speaker, right? Or do I hire someone who knows what they're doing? Where does the fine line get drawn there?
Oh my God. Hands down, get a DJ. Like, there's just, you have the speakers or this, that. By the way, there's just no comparison. There's just not. I mean, who knows on that shuffled playlist if something comes up and it's just terrible. So leave it up to the pros. I would definitely go with, if you have some sort of budget for this, just make sure you're taking it out of something like, my case was the desserts, because nobody really got to them, and then put that money elsewhere, or make a budget for the DJ. Bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned your maid of honor and your mom were a big part of pulling this off. Did you specifically task them with this? Did they come out of the blue and offer to do it? What's the secret to like getting their help without making them feel obligated?
I don't think it was both of my mom and Stephanie are just so talented, and they pay attention to so much detail. Of course, my mom being in the business, so it wasn't really an obligation. It's like they're doing it. It was their choice. They wanted to. And I just didn't expect where it was going and all these little details adding up to this day. So no, they definitely wanted to.
Yeah, it is amazing how quickly the details come. But Ann, I'm curious to hear from you. Like, what do you tell brides out there? You're trying to save some money. Do you, even for an engagement party, do you hire a planner?
Well, you definitely can. I mean, it just depends on kind of, what your budget is and how big you're planning on going. But let's face it, normally people want to throw you brides and grooms don't throw themselves an engagement party. So usually the bride's family or a good friend or the maid of honor or somebody in that, realm decides to throw the engagement party. So a lot of those decisions, are great. Our magazine, our expos are great resources for those people who have to make those decisions, based on the party. And that basically comes down to the budget, not necessarily the bride and groom, but the person that's throwing.
And let's take a very quick moment and talk about the Premier Bride Expo, which is coming up probably about the time that this podcast makes it out there for public consumption. It will be days away, right? And then people might watch this after the fact. But what is the Premier Bride Expo? Why is it so important? And how does it help out a bride like Amber or anyone else like her come up with solutions for engagement parties, obviously the wedding itself, etc.?
So anytime you're planning a wedding or even a special event, because we don't just get brides and grooms that come to the expo, we get quinceaneras, we get vow renewals, and we get just any type of celebration, sometimes even like a sweet 16. Because you think about all those big milestones in your life require basically the exact same vendors that you need for your wedding. So anybody that's planning a wedding or a big special event like an engagement party or something like that can come to the expo and meet people face to face and have a conversation and see, if their personalities and your personality are a good match to work together for your event.
It's no secret that Premier Bride is one of the sponsors behind bringing this podcast and video blog right now of Amber's wedding planning process right into reality. But when it comes to those vendors that you see there, are these handpicked? Where do they come from? You don't just take every vendor off the street. It's not open to every vendor. There's a handpicked selection here. Talk to me about that, because I think that's misunderstood sometimes.
Right. So the wedding community is definitely a close-knit community, and a lot of us in the wedding industry in Jacksonville, we all know each other. So people inquire about being an exhibitor at the expo all the time. And I definitely have conversations with everybody that wants to become a vendor. And then they have to go through kind of an application process to make sure that they are a licensed and insured vendor, depending on what their category is and what the requirements are for the state for that category. So there is definitely some selection process that goes along with the vendors who are at the expo to make sure that the brides and grooms that, come to the expo and anybody that's coming to the expo is going to have a good experience with our vendors.
Your reputation is on the line as Premier Bride Expo as much as those vendors, for sure. Amber, I'm putting you on the spot, but you've been in the industry, it's no secret, but how much do these expos mean to you, both your family and you as a bride, when it comes to picking vendors out?
Well, that's a good question, because this is my first time on the other side. So it's excellent. I'm usually at the booth. So I have to only answer it because how about we get to it on the next episode so I can tell you my full experience with it? Because this is going to be my real first time on the other side.
All right, for sure. We're going to have a whole breakdown of your experience at the very next Bridal Expo. I guarantee you we will bring that to you. That's a little teaser coming up. But
because there's so many different important things with the bridal show. So being on the other side and taking notes of everything, it's just gonna help out once I fully experience it.
Mm-hmm.
A good suggestion for sure. So you don't want to go anywhere. Stay tuned. That's going to be coming up in a future podcast. But let's get back to this engagement party real quick and just talk some details, because those of us that weren't lucky enough to be there, like Anne, right? We don't really know how it went down. How many people were there, and what was the budget? We always talk budget. Let's be open about this and real about it.
So it was about 85 people. We had about 10 people, including his sisters. They couldn't make it due to COVID and everything that is going on right now. As far as budget, it was different because, like Anne said, this was something that my maid of honor, my mom, and my situation is a little bit, it's unique because I do have a lot of connections. My mother has a lot of connections in the wedding business. And so the budget was none of my business.
That's a fair answer. That's all right.
I know there were small little things. And like I said, when I walked in, we went from taking this to a place where we could come to 85 guests in with the temperature taking and taking all of everything that's going on to have 85 people there. So whether it was a backyard barbecue, which we planned for, it was a very glamorous backyard barbecue when I walked in.
It was the
And
free
the
fireworks
space is
show.
huge. So
Yes.
the space is
Yes,
absolutely
space is
huge. So
huge.
people were like completely social distance throughout the whole thing. I mean, it was a really nicely done event, and it didn't feel like it was crowded. And that was the best thing about it, is when Amber sent out the invitation, I was like, ooh, front row fireworks with no crowd. This is awesome.
And parking,
That's a
right?
good
And
way.
parking.
Oh, yeah. And parking. Yeah, it was in and out. I mean, boop, boop.
You mentioned it. I have to ask, like, were you strict about taking temperatures at the door? I know you got there after your guests, so maybe this all happened before you, but were people wearing masks? What did you end up doing with all that?
We did have our bride and groom mask that my maid of honor made, but some were wearing masks. I know his parents that came in from Atlanta, they were wearing masks, but we kept it optional. But please bring your own. We did provide them as well. And I wasn't there for the temperature taking, so I'm not sure how that process worked at all. I know that is something that they did, and I know that my mom and Stephanie, my maid of honor, did ask that if it was okay. I'm sorry if it made the guests feel uncomfortable, but these were the guidelines of the event.
And you had a couple guests, you said, I think either 2 or 10, I couldn't remember the number, that couldn't make it because of COVID or the sickness or work. How did that get handled? And
yeah, there was about 10 guests. Exactly like you said, some were because of work. His sister is a nurse, and his other sister really wasn't feeling well, but the timing with the test, and they couldn't get it in time, so just didn't want to risk it. And those were some of the other guests as well. They were under the weather, or they weren't going to. They couldn't make the travel due to what city they were in, and having to be quarantined for 14 days afterwards, if that was something that they had to stay in for. So could they risk that afterwards?
And what are you seeing out there from other brides, other venues, vendors, when it comes to how to mitigate, kind of manage this whole COVID situation right now and all the uncertainty? Are people being real professional and putting out some sort of a disclosure saying, hey, please don't come if you meet any of the following criteria? I've seen it all over the place. I'm curious if you kind of have any recommendations yourself.
Well, I think our wedding community has been so vigilant about it and so forward thinking about how to keep people safe, because we want to stay working, we want to keep the weddings happening, and we want to make sure that everybody is safe doing so. So there's been so much talk among the wedding industry and communicating how to keep guests safe, whether it be through temperature checks, masks, different seating patterns, how to do food safety. I mean, everybody is really putting a lot of thought into it to make sure that each event has the lowest possible risk available. And I think the other thing too is that we just have to be responsible adults. Like, if we're not feeling good, like, don't come out. Like, that's just what everybody needs to be thinking about is, okay, I don't feel good, so instead of just going because I feel like I need to be there, people will understand, and they're not going to be mad at you for it. If you're like, you know what, I'm not feeling good, I'm just going to set this one out. It's okay. It's okay. There's photographers and videographers there. Look, we live all the photos.
That's what they're for.
In Amber's case, but I mean, in just any case, I think people just have to be socially responsible about it.
So I was curious, Amber, like, would you have made plans to incorporate anyone remotely, or do you just have to draw the line about technology at some point and say, look, if you can't make it, you can't make it. We just can't live stream or Zoom or FaceTime every part of this wedding.
Right. No, you have to draw the line for sure. I mean, these times are so different. And like Ian said, we're just trying to go through this as best and easy as possible with no stress. And it's a stressful time when you just really you don't want to make it stressful. You want to have a really good time, but stress is involved when you're trying to accommodate and check off all these things for other people too, and the safety. And I don't know, I think we did a good job doing it. And I think all the guests, the ones that did kind of sign off on it, with all due respect, thank you, because don't just show up because it's a party and nobody's partied in a while.
Yeah, I can imagine how that's going to be an issue, especially as we get deeper into wedding season coming up here in the fall, and people wanting to be part of those and not miss any of this. That's going to be interesting to see. The one thing we didn't talk about, I think it's kind of important here, is your decor. What happened for decor at your engagement? Something tells me it wasn't just throw some sheets on tables. There was something special here.
Oh, yeah. We still try to keep it simple. There was some tables. We did the 4th of July decor. My mom and Stephanie did such an excellent job. There was Stephanie, so my maid of honor was really cool. She made, she made little koozies and the backdrop with Marlat AF, and she did there's little personal pizza cookies and all kinds of stuff. So the decor, they just paid attention to. She has a Etsy account, and it's like I Fell in Love Boutique, but she makes all of these really cool things. Oh, the champagne glasses with Marlat AF on there for the cheers. And here they are. I don't know if you can see them. She made all of these little koozies for everyone. And personal masks with Marlat AF on the front of it. Mm-hmm. So that's some of the decor. We still kept it kind of backyard style. We had lawn games and stuff like that.
That's funny. The hardest thing people have with hashtags sometimes is getting it out there and making it get used. If you put it right on the front of everyone's face mask and they're all wearing it, how do you not get that out there? Everyone's going to know about the hashtag for the wedding. And you mentioned you had some yard games too. So someone pulled out all the stops. What were the yard games that you pulled out, and where did those come from?
Do you remember the name of because my mom uses them all the time at that venue. I know she also did, she also did it for 4th of July. Jack's Play Day? Jack's Play Day. Yes, that's what they were called. We got the game, from Jack's Play Day. It was like checkers and chess, and we had neon, like cornhole, and then the big beer pong. But they were huge.
Garbage can beer pong.
Garbage cans. Yeah, there you go. That actually did a great thing with the kids. We had like sanitizing stations next to everything. So the kids were doing it. We please ask the parents to make sure you wipe this down. But that was a big hit with the kids, was the garbage can beer pong.
Yeah.
I bet. Nothing beats any yard game oversized. Right? Yeah. Right? And so they had full bar, everything. Your guests must have had a great time. And then did it culminate with the fireworks, or was that sort of in the middle of all this?
Yes, it did. So the fireworks actually were late. They typically are in downtown. I think they were scheduled for 9:45. And the rain went away probably around, the party started 6. So about an hour before the party, the rain stopped, which, thank you, because it was supposed to get worse. I was trying to be a meteorologist in my situation. It was like, okay, it was at 9 east-southeast miles per hour. How do I figure this out? When is the storm going to end? I'm trying to do this. But so it did. It was in perfect time. My fiance was doing a speech that lasted 10 minutes. And so I finally had okay, babe.
Raise the music, cut the mic.
Because he will talk, and it was so good, though. He did a good job. But that was right before the fireworks, so everything was didn't really have a timeline. Kind of just let it be a party the way it's supposed to flow.
Good for you.
People were randomly grabbing the mic. His parents randomly to do a cheers, the best man, the maid of honor. So people were just going up, and he would stop the music, and it worked out really well.
Well, it certainly sounds like you did a great job. Hopefully you've inspired a lot of brides out there who are going to be getting married and they want to do an equally special engagement party, or maybe someone special then wants to throw that in there listening to this for some great ideas. I don't think you left any stone unturned when it came to your engagement. No. It sounds like no regrets.
We did good photos with the fireworks in the background. I mean, yes, for all the brides and maid of honors out there really looking to know when to plan. What a great time. It was 82 degrees. Yes, you have to question the weather, but you're going to question the weather year-round when you're a bride, let's be honest. It could be, you're always going to. It's something that we all fear. But it was so beautiful, and you get a really fantastic fireworks show in the back.
Well, kudos to your maid of honor and your mother for pulling off a fantastic engagement party I cannot wait to hear what is coming up next, but we are out of time on today's episode. We will be following Amber every week as she works through her wedding planning process. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, 904wed.com, the Real Talk Wedding Podcast. Anna Files and I following Amber Flowers on her wedding journey as she gets married in April of 2021. We have so much more to go. Don't go anywhere. Give us your feedback. We can't wait to hear from you. Take care.